are here.
We are
Right.
here.
We are here. Good evening, gentlemen. Happy Sabbath.
Hey. Good evening, sir. How are you, my
Good
friend?
evening. Good
Friends?
evening. We are
Doing
doing
well.
good. Doing
All
good
right.
today.
It's a Friday night, guys, and I missed you guys last week, man. We were this close.
That's right. Oh,
Hey,
okay.
there's
From the
Mama
beautiful southern city of Atlanta in the
Hey.
state of Georgia.
Hey, Raj.
Listen,
last-
that is a good thing because I didn't call her, so she's looking at her device, and it has alerted her. And so, Mom, it's so good to have you on with us tonight. This lets me know you're doing well.
All right.
All right.
Love it.
I got to fix your comment space there, Mama Patrick. Listen, Mama Patrick and Roger, my mother was in Atlanta last weekend as well. I thought about that.
Beautiful.
That storm was coming through where she is in South Georgia, so we wanted to get her out of that path. She's in a little town called Jessup, Georgia. And as
Okay.
we looked at the path of Idalia, it was coming right on the front doorsteps of Jessup.
Wow.
So we wanted to get her out of there. Hey, there's Miss Dimitri. She says she finally caught us. All right.
Dimitri, how you doing? Was in
Yes.
her state, was in her country, her city, a couple of weeks ago, celebrating the Southern Union Women's Ministries Convention.
Yeah, one of my members was there, Roger. She came back and told me, she said, I saw Roger Wade.
Yeah. Hey, listen, one of my members was there as well, and they said, "Yeah, I saw your buddy Roger Wade."
Yeah. I had quite a few folks who came up to me and said, "Hey, they support Pastors Roundtable. They love it." One lady says, "One of the reasons I like Pastors Roundtable is because you'll tell the truth." I was like, "Okay."
All right.
Wow,
All right, good stuff. So listen, tonight's episode is called Catching Up. Catching up with the host. Catching up with what's going on around the church these days. What's news, guys? Any news about what's happening around the church? Anything come across your timelines, your news feeds that bears some mention this evening? What's happening maybe in our conferences or in the North American division, anywhere like that? Any news that we have to share tonight, guys?
Actually, I haven't seen anything from the official channels coming through. I don't know. I think we mentioned it a couple weeks ago, the passing of Alvin Kibble. I think this weekend they're having the memorial services out in California. And then in October, they will have the memorial service in the Washington, D.C. area, in Columbia, Maryland. So, his family is still going through it. We have a couple other families within the South Central Conference family who are going through it. But things are a little quiet. I think people are waiting for the year-end meetings.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so after the year-end meetings, we will probably hear some news.
Hey,
When are the year-end meetings, Roger? Is that like November?
The year-end meetings for the North American division is in October.
Oh, it's in October.
Yeah. And then all of the unions do their meeting in November.
Right.
Yeah, we'll definitely see you there. Okay.
Hey, listen, here's some news I got. This came across my feed this week. A few seasons ago, we had Elder Ron Whitehead as one of our guests, who is the Associate Youth Director for North American Division, and he oversees the Camporees. I think I got that title right, Associate Director for. Anyway, the Pathfinder Camporees.
Lake Union Youth Director.
Okay, all right, there we go. But the big news was that I think it was already out that there's a change, that the Camporee is happening next year, and there's going to be a move from Oshkosh, Wisconsin to Gillette, Wyoming. Now, we've put that news out there, so that's not particularly news. I think most of our Pathfinder crew knew that. But this is what came across my feed, fellas. Somebody posted the nightly rate for a hotel in Gillette, Wyoming, that they were trying to get a hotel room at a Best Western, and that rate was $500+ per night. Those hotels in Gillette are already crazy out of reach for at least for folk like me. So listen, if you are planning on going to the Camporee next year in Gillette, Wyoming, time to go and purchase that tent, ladies and gentlemen. Hotel rooms might be out of reach for you already in, what is this, September of this year. So if you're planning to go to the Camporee, you may want to go ahead and there may be some other hotels that are available if you want to check that stuff out, get your accommodation if you want to stay in a hotel. But if you're going to be camping, make sure that you get you tag on to a Pathfinder club, because my understanding is that you have to come signed up with a Pathfinder club. So that's my news minute for this evening. Dion, you got anything, man?
Well, listen, I'm looking over here at the chat. And Sister Dimitri put something in there that the Patmos Chapel at the Well, they're celebrating their 70th anniversary, the 23rd of this month. Can I just give a shout out to Patmos Chapel? Yes. By the way, Patmos, they have just a powerful and efficient food distribution program. And the other day, I believe there were like 30 employees from the local Ford dealership that came out and helped Patmos at their community distribution program. So a shout out to Patmos, making a big impact here in O-Town. So
it's that community engagement thing. Yeah,
oh man,
that's good stuff.
Community engagement. Yeah. So shout out to them. As far as things that are happening, well, Pastor Paul, in your conference next week, they're going to have the South Florida Youth Federation. And the speaker next week is going to be Jamon Jemerson, one of my friends. And I know that the people of God will be blessed. Shout out to Vivian Bryant, doing an awesome job for years at the South Florida Federation, engaging the community, just doing some great things down there. The Florida Conference. Listen, the Florida Conference, we are on the move. Can I say the Florida Conference? We are on the move.
Roger, you see this guy, he's giving news about my conference and then his conference.
I'm not going to say save the best for last. I'm not going to say that. No, listen.
I'm gonna let him have all the joy he wants to have right now.
No, listen. My heart, man. Listen, I was blessed to be in Southeastern Conference for so many years, and now I'm in Florida Conference. Listen, we're working for the same God, man, and I just consider it like I was telling somebody the other day. There's so many churches in specific areas. Your area, Pastor Paul, it's flooded with Adventist churches. Orlando area, we're coming up, not as much as the Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. But this is what I said to them. I said, listen, man, we're here to help each other. So we're not in competition with each other. We're just like the McDonald's across the street, and there's another McDonald's here. We're working with the same God. So praise God for the collaboration of the churches. I think if more churches collaborate together, we would get so much done. Here in this area, and I'll talk a little bit about the Florida Conference, what we're doing. But here in this area, when you talk about the greater Orlando area, so that's like stretching out Kissimmee and all those places, you have about 2.6 million. But again, you're stretching all the way out, right? So it's not just proper Orlando, but that's 2.6 million people. In the North American division, Roger, you are the division man, the union man. So I always defer to you when I have these questions. But in the division, we don't have 2 million people in the division. I don't think we have like maybe a little over 1 million people, over 1 million members in the North American division. So
I'm confused. Okay. No, I'm not. I got it. I'm slow. I'm not confused. Yeah.
So there is work to do. If in the North American division, we have about 1 million Adventist members, and in one little town, Orlando, nothing compared to the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area and these other areas here. They're like 2.5 million greater. Where's work to do? We can, come on, we're working together. So we praise God for that. Let me tell you what's happening in the Florida Conference, led by Dr. Alan Machado, just doing a wonderful job. The work is growing. We have churches that are coming up. We have events, conference events. In fact, we just had an evangelistic workshop that they did throughout the conference. We're getting ready for a marriage retreat happening November the 4th. By the way, this is for everybody. If you are in the area, if you're not in the area, we want you to pay particular attention to this. I should have put this flyer on there. But November the 4th at the Florida conference, there will be a marriage retreat called Reconnecting. It will be hosted by yours truly.
There it is.
There it is. There it is.
It's gonna be. Listen, you need to come. It's a one-day workshop, but I am telling you, the time that you spend there will not be. You will not regret it. And so again, it's November the 4th. We'll, check the Florida Conference Facebook, and they'll have the information out there. And the costs, get ready for the cost. Drum roll, only $50. That's it. I mean, and they're giving you a lot of stuff. All right. So come on out for that. Those of you in the neighboring churches, you need to come on out. You need to come on out, and you make sure that you get your reservation made quickly, because I'm telling you, the spots will go quickly. Okay, so that's another thing that's happening in the Florida Conference. There are mission trips that they have that's going on. There's a high school retreat that's going to take place. And so great things are happening here in Florida.
Well, I got to say this, Raj. So those of you that are watching and you're not married, and so that marriage retreat weekend on November 4th is just not going to be your cup of tea, then that same weekend in Daytona, Florida, Southeastern Conference is having its singles ministry retreat. Keynote speaker will be yours truly. And so we're going to be in Daytona on the beach on that weekend. Now, I'm not single anymore. I'm not sure how I keep getting single ministries invites, but I'm looking forward to having a good time with the singles. You do not have to be, because this is not a competition, you do not have to be a part of Southeastern Conference to be a part of that. You can find the SEC Singles Ministry Facebook page, and you can get all the details, information, how to register, how to be a part of that. So we want to invite you as well to be a part of that coming up on that same weekend in November.
I love it. And you know what, Pastor Paul, because we're working together, I'm going to make sure that I announce that to my people, man, those who are single and they want to take a part of that retreat. I'm going to send them your way, tell them that there's a great thing happening there, as you're going to do for me, right? Because we're not restricted as well. So, we
praise
work
God,
together.
man. Praise God. Praise God. Is that the right answer? Praise God.
Praise God. Praise God.
Yes, indeed. I listen, I embrace the spirit of collaboration there. We will definitely send some folk that way. We'll put that, let it be known far and wide, just like we're doing right here on Pastor's Roundtable. All right, Rodney's asking, we were talking about McDonald's, Dr. Henry. He's saying, are you saying that the church is a franchise?
Hey, I don't know, Rodney. What do you want to say, Rodney? Oh, I like what he said next. He says, you don't take marriage advice from a single pastor.
Wait, you don't take marriage advice from a single pastor?
You don't take marriage advice from a single pastor.
Yeah, no, you're taking single advice from a married pastor. That's what's happening. That's the context there. The singles are taking advice from a married pastor.
What's one of the reasons you go to a singles ministries event?
Well, you know what? Listen, can I? Let me jump in here. No, listen. A single. Now, this is my. Let me just put it out there. Singles ministry event doesn't mean that you're there to meet a future spouse. I mean, I hope
I said one of the reasons.
Well,
I didn't say what's the reason.
It could. I mean, listen, singles ministry. Can I say this? Singles ministry, powerful ministry. These conferences, workshops. I did one just a couple of months ago. Just did a one day thing talking about singles ministry. There's a lot of things that singles can do that add a great blessing to the church. Mm-hmm. And as I was talking to the singles, one of the things that they said to me, they say, listen, we want to make it known that with these singles workshop and conferences, not all of us are going to look for a spouse, right? Some of us are going there to learn a little bit more about ministry involvement opportunities and that sort of thing. So yeah, singles is a big thing, and everybody was single at one time. Everybody. So
True.
it's yeah.
You
So
know,
again,
I
go
have to
ahead.
give kudos to the Southwest Region Conference, Southwest Region Conference. I spent some time there, and singles ministry was under my portfolio as youth director, and we actually ministered not only just to young singles, we ministered to older singles, widowers,
Yeah.
those who you
Yes.
know were married and then they are now single. They find themselves single, and I think
Mhm.
that epitomizes what singles ministry is about. I think we have bought into the concept that it's there to go and find out how to be, how you should act, or how when you're looking for a spouse. But
Right.
singles ministry stands on its own
Mhm.
when you are dealing with how you deal with being single.
Right.
Shout out to Vera Ragland from
Yes,
Southwest Region. She carried
yes.
that mantle. I don't know if she's still doing it, but for
She
quite a
still does
while.
it, man. They just finished one this a couple weeks ago at Southwest Region Conference Campground, Lake Lone Star,
Yes.
and it was a
Can't wait.
wonderful. When I was there, it was great to connect with the singles. They go out, they do activities, even at the camp. They go out
Hmm.
into the community there at the camp. So they are looking outward. Some singles ministries look inward, but they are looking outward as they do ministry
Mhm. I
throughout
love it.
throughout the area.
I love it. Can I do a shout out to Pastor Brissett? Just
Yes,
I think a
Yes.
week ago or 2 weeks ago or so, he was
Oh, that's right.
installed as the
Introduced. Yeah.
pastor of the Church of the Oranges.
the Church
Yes.
of the
The
Orange.
Church of the Oranges. By the
New
way,
Jersey.
there are some installations that are happening throughout our field. I think even in your area, Pastor Wade,
Well,
you
yeah,
got a pastor, associate
A
pastor.
new pastor there. Yeah.
yes.
Hey,
Tomorrow
by the way,
we're gonna
Coming from
witness
his
that
old
tomorrow.
field.
Yeah, we're
yes,
going to witness that tomorrow. I had the privilege of serving with him
yes,
when I was
yes,
there in the Mid American Union, and I'm excited.
yeah.
The church is excited. The chapel, Riverside Chapel, is excited for their new youth and young adult pastor,
Yeah.
and he is looking forward to that. And so, I listen. I was out today. We're talking about Pastors Appreciation coming up.
Mhm.
I don't know if he's watching this or not, but I'm not the senior pastor. I'm one of the members there at the church. Yeah, I may work with the pastor there, but I want to bring a gift to the pastor because I want to appreciate him as he comes in to minister there. So I'm excited. I went out today to look for that gift and got it together, and
Tell
I'm
me it wasn't a
dropping
tie.
that out there.
Tell me
I'm
it was not
dropping
a
that out there.
tie.
No,
Not a
it
tie,
wasn't a
right?
tie. Not a tie.
Ah,
Not a
bless
tie.
the Lord. Oh, my soul.
And it's
Yeah.
and it's something for him and his wife and child. So it's a family gift.
Okay.
And so I want to just put that out there in the atmosphere as we look forward to Pastors Appreciation Month. Don't wait for the church. You do it yourself. Go and get something that you can say, Pastor, this is from our heart. This is from our family. This is just to say thank you. This is just to let you know you're seen and we appreciate you and we're praying for you. I challenge everyone out there to do that for their pastor.
I like it. I love it. And being a pastor is not easy. Pastor Paul, you're about to say something. I don't want to. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I wanted to kind of get an idea from our members as we approach October, which is Pastoral Appreciation Month. We'll be doing something Pastors Roundtable for that. But I'm curious, what have you guys done for pastors in terms of gifts? I was just kind of, tongue in cheek about the tie thing there. A lot of pastors for birthdays and anniversaries and whatnot. Ties are high up on the list of things that pastors receive. I'm curious if you or your church has done something for your pastor. What have you done as far as pastors' appreciation? I'd be very curious to see. I think a lot of people they stretch for or search for ideas on what to do. So if you've got an idea of what or something that you guys have done, throw that in the chat. We'd love to see that. I'm sorry, Dion. What were you getting at there?
Well, I'm just talking about being a pastor. There is, in fact, this is a program that I'm hoping that we will do here on the PRT, and it's a program dealing with the drought of people going into the pastoral ministry. Right now, throughout our colleges, we don't have a lot of people who are graduating in theology with the intention of pastoring a church. And been in some conversations, and it is alarming, the amount of people that are not going, into pastoral ministry. And so there may be some reasons. Maybe in the chat, maybe you might know some reasons why people are not going into the pastoral ministry. But we got to do something about it because, we need pastors, and that is a very important position within our church, right? And so just diving into that, trying to get some understanding why people are not going into it. I know that there's been some talks among the leadership of our church regarding it as well. And so we want to dive into that, man, and see what we can do. All right.
Rodney is funny. Rodney's
Oh
funny.
my, Rodney, come on.
I'm not even putting that on the screen. I'm not
Listen,
doing it.
I saw this. I saw Rodney's comment, and I'm reminded of a joke that I saw, a real joke, a real REEL joke that I saw, that had a joke in it, and it goes like this. It goes like this. What when the townspeople were looking to buy a boat, who did they go to? Or who should they go to? And somebody says, I know a man. Noah, man. You'll get it.
Stop it. Stop it, Roger.
Where's the I don't know where that thing.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Hey, listen.
Listen.
In spite of
it ain't about it. It's just the fact that we are around here laughing. Can we be laughing?
in spite of that old dad joke, I want you gentlemen to know how much I appreciate being on this platform with you when I can have somebody like Edison pop up and say, "What's up, young pastors?" So he sees my bald head and gray, and he looks right past that to these nice young men on either side of me, and I get to be counted among the youth tonight. What an honor, what a privilege.
Man, listen, we're so far past the youth, man.
Hey, I'll take it. Every single time.
Retirement, man.
I try to be active every week. So I play around golf.
Okay.
So every time I go to play, the guy says, "Are you a senior?" And I have to bow my head and say yes to get the senior rate.
Oh no.
Oh man, but hey, listen, that's life, man. Look, we get older, and we got to embrace every age God gives you. You know what I mean? And we have, and again, going back to what I said today about pastoral ministry, we need to encourage our people who are in school to go into theology. I think there's some things that the leadership, though, of our denomination, they have to make some adjustments as well, so that pastoring you can focus more on your church and your district instead of the stressors that sometimes come from above. And when I say above, I'm talking about from the denomination and from our conferences and leaders. So we're going to dive into that. It's going to be a good show. Listen, pray that we're able to do that show, because when we do it, we want to give you some data. We want to give you some information so that it can kind of lay the foundation for what we're about to talk about. And not only just talk about the challenges that are there in pastoral ministry and getting people to come into pastoral ministry, but also talk about some of the possible solutions that can happen so that we can retain more pastors and get more individuals to say, hey, listen, I'm going to take on this church and do what I need to do. So that's what we're dealing with now. Oh, somebody said starting with the salary.
Yeah.
But
Listen.
the church is doing good with the salary in what in yeah, I mean it may not be where it's at, but within the last 2 years, within the last 3 years, there has been a serious jump in the percentage of raises that the North American division has voted. The
So
conferences have to try and meet that, but
yeah,
they have said, "Hey, we need to do something," and because we are a policy church, it has to start where policy is. So the policy
right.
makers are saying, "Hey, let's raise those salaries," but it's up to the conferences to really make that happen.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing,
Can we get
Roger.
the NAD to run some policy for housing?
Right. Come on.
And get the NAD to write some policy for the oil companies, because they keep and the grocery stores, because no matter what they're doing with salaries, gas prices, housing costs, all those things are still putting and I'm being a little facetious, but I'm dead serious. For those of us that pastor in South Florida and those who are in other expensive parts of the country, salary is even with increases, the gap between salary and cost of living is actually widening.
Yes.
At a very alarming rate.
And listen, not only are you talking about, the ERI, especially down there in Miami, which is crazy that they're not, we don't even want to go into all those details today.
Not today, but we need to, yeah.
Not in this show right here, but if you just take the mere schooling that a pastor goes through, that somebody was telling me they had a study, just the schooling that the pastor goes through, and you compare it to other people that are taking that amount of time in education, there is a disparity right there, number one. Number two, don't even talk about, and we're nowhere, you can't compare, the pastoring here in the Adventist church to other churches. So you can't even do that. Don't even think about doing that. All right. But the third thing is the move. This move kills a pastor financially most of the times, right? Because oftentimes you are dealing with two salaries, right? And when you move, the spouse has to find another job and do some other things, and get selling your house, and then you go somewhere else, and it's these stressors make it challenging for the pastoral family at times. You see what I mean?
I'm gonna ride with Rodney for a quick minute here, and just play the other side of this. When young people hear us as active working pastors having these kinds of conversations, and we're talking about all the stressors, how hard it is, how the people treat us bad, how the administrators treat us bad, how we don't make enough money, how wearing and taxing this is on your families and family life and moving and real estate and all that kind of stuff, then somebody could say, well, it's no wonder kids don't want to go into pastoral ministry. It's because we are making ministry look like we're not talking about the joy of evangelism. We're not talking about the power of God moving through our communities and this, that, and the other, the things that made ministry attractive to us. It may seem that we're spending less and less time talking about that and preparing people for Jesus to come, that he's almost here and that we got to get ready. And yet for some, it may seem like we're spending more time talking about these kind of temporal challenges. And so they're saying, well, if that's how our current pastors see ministry, and what it is like for them, then you got kids, people are saying, well, then why would a kid want to come and be a part of that if we have made it look like that? And I think while on one hand, those things are realistic, I do think we have to be very careful, because I would not be doing anything. If God has called us to this thing, and I always told my folk, if they didn't pay me a dime, and I know everybody's not where I'm at on that, but if they didn't pay me a dime, I'd still do what I do.
Right.
because it's not a job, it's a calling.
Right.
And I think there is that side of the picture that we have to be more intentional about sharing as well. So there's that.
Okay.
I
Well,
wanna I
I
wanna
got two
say
things.
I wanna
Let me
say
just say,
as you
I got two things to say real quick, Roger. It's going to be real quick, and I'll let you go. So I'm not even, you know, I'm not stopping with the pastoral ministry, but the teaching, the teachers here in the Adventist work. Not a lot of people are going to teaching as well because they can just get the job at the public school and get paid more. So these things are addressed. And then the last thing is the churches. Okay. I'm going to be honest with you. And we support our system, definitely. But there was something that was done about 10 years ago, when the unions, they brought out different plans on how we can distribute the tithe more effectively. This is within our denomination. They had like
Yeah.
4 different plans on how we could distribute the tithe more effectively so that our churches may be able to have a few more dollars to do ministry. Okay. So this money issue is real and we got to deal with it at some point. If we don't, then we're going to be just challenged, as we go forward. Roger?
Hey, I just wanted to say you are correct. We point out the negativity stuff, but I think when you talk to pastors who are still in the trenches, and they're not really doing it for the money. They're doing it for the love, and so I applaud I applaud the pastors who are still doing it, who are still out there grinding it out,
Yeah.
in spite of. And it's different across around the world. Pastors go through so much in different parts of the country, in different parts of the world. There are so many different levels or so many different um, plateaus that they have, pastors
Mhm.
are involved with. And so we want to, I think, as we get closer to October, I think one of the biggest things we can do is just say thank you to our pastors, because
That's right.
they're doing it. Let me put it this way: we're doing it. We're making it happen. We're making bricks without straw. No, let me not go there. Uh, it's happening, and we give
Yeah.
God the praise. We serve a mighty God.
Oh, yes, we do.
I think Rodney was putting it out that the calling is sacrificial. Yeah, it may be. Those are the words we use, but I think there's a certain joy when I lay my head down the pillow and I know I've done what I need to do, what God has led me to do that day. Man, it's a good feeling to lay down and go to bed and close your eyes and go to sleep, knowing that you were a tool in God's hand for
Mhm.
that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give our audience a little formula I'd like for you guys to try? We think about the tithing thing, Dion, that you were talking about, and how we could redistribute tithe by policy, not just not an unbiblical thing, but doing
Not
it
like some churches, right? They just,
yeah, not like some churches I'm saying, but how the church could change its policy on how tithe is
Yeah.
distributed. But I and oftentimes we're thinking of it because there is not enough to do certain things that we'd like to do. If at your local church, if you would do this for us, if you can find out the number of members that are at your church, so your membership, and then take the amount of tithe that your church turned in last year. So you've got, I wish I'd have typed this up and put this on screen. So you've got your membership, you've got the amount of tithe. Say your church, I don't know, let's say brought in $100,000 in tithe. You take that $100,000, you multiply it to find that $100,000 is 10% of, somebody help me out. I went to church school, so I'm good in history and theology, but not math.
No. You're good in
Stop.
everything. Church school.
Church school's good.
Church school does a good job.
There you go. Yes,
in
stop it,
teaching
bad
that.
pastor. $100,000 is 10% of what number? Somebody in the chat, help me out. Okay, let's do it differently. Let's say it's $10,000. $10,000. Say your church turned in $10,000 in tithe. then you know that that suggests that your members made $100,000. If all of your members were returning a faithful tithe, that means that your entire church made, and their salaries, $100,000. You take that $100,000 and then you divide that by the number of members in your church. What is that number? That is $10 million, Cedric? Yes, 10 million. Okay, so if it was $100,000, it means that the salaries, your members made $10 million. I'm sorry, is that right? Yeah, $10 million altogether. So if you had 10, is that 1 million?
No.
100,000? No, they're right.
So
They're absolutely right.
10%.
It's 1 million. Yes, it's 1 million.
There you go.
Yeah. So it means that your membership made $1 million. If you have a membership of 500 people, then you're dividing 1 million by 500. 1 million by 500. Somebody do that math for me right quick. Hey, Siri. Oh, sorry. I'm stuck on an Android right now. Until next week. Hallelujah. I'm gonna do the math. Y'all bear with me. Y'all are gonna see what this is gonna make sense to a lot of folk if you can stay with me here. So we've got 1 million divided. Okay, so that 1 million divided by 500 means that those 500 members made $5,000 for the year. $5,000 for the year. Let's say half of that membership are old people or not working. So you cut that in half. Instead of 500, you divide it by 250. You're still only at, I'm saying two different numbers, Paul, because I didn't do the math. I'm taking your word for it. Take half of that membership and say they are children who are not working. They are older adults who are not working. So they're not salaried folk making a living, making a consistent income. And so even that $5,000 only turns into $10,000. They're making that suggests that they're only making $10,000 a year. No matter what church you're coming from, I guarantee you, if you do that math, you will find out in almost any church that the issue is not as much how the conference or the church is spending the tithe. One of the bigger issues that our members are just not faithful with the tithe. So we're saying we're taking this money. I did this based on, should I do this? I'm not going to do it. I did this with my conference numbers, and it was ridiculous. With the numbers of membership that we have in the conference based on the amount of tithe that we turned in, it said that in the state of Florida, our membership, and when I halved the membership, was making $12,000 a year, when the average income in the state of Florida is $24,000 a year. So it suggested that our membership was way below the poverty line based on the tithe that we turned in. You do that math, and all of the fussing and complaining that we do about the church not making best use of the tithe, where there may be some issues and responsibility there. I won't try to pretend that that's not the issue. While there certainly could be some money mismanagement, but there's also the issue of our members just at a gross level are not being faithful in returning tithe. And if they were, then a lot of the issues that we're finding about being, funding and paying for this and paying for that would not be issues. That's the hard truth. It is a fact. No matter what conference you're at, do that math, and I guarantee you will have a stunning outcome.
Well, here's the thing, Pastor Paul.
I shouldn't guarantee you, because some of y'all might be in places where that's not true. So
here's the thing, Pastor Paul. Definitely, if there's more money that's generated from us, from the people, from the church, you'll definitely have more, resources, right? But even at a conference level or division level, even right now, right now, there are adjustments that are being made to the distribution of tithe,
Yeah.
even right now as we speak, because
And I'm
the
not
division,
suggesting that those aren't conversations that we need to have or anything like
okay,
that. I'm suggesting that we need to be holistic in the approach, that it's not just at the conference level or at the organizational level. It is also at the individual level, that everybody all the way around, that everybody has a part to play in making this thing work to be
right.
as effective as
Well, I
it
agree.
can be.
I agree with you that everybody has a part to play. I agree with you that well, you didn't say this, but the principle on what we stand on as a church, as far as giving is concerned, is that when we give, a portion of that should benefit everybody. So I'm with that. That is our policy. I mean, a portion of that, whether 20%, 50%. I'm just saying that on top of people giving faithfully, a redistribution needs to be discussed so that the local church can be able to have more resources to do ministry on a local level. Our buildings need help. Evangelism, when you talk about evangelism, you talk about Bible worker, the beauty of a Bible worker. When you talk about facilities like technology, there's a lot. And some conferences are trying to do a lot to help the churches. Okay, so it's just not, I'm just saying, just a whole redistribution, I think, is a conversation that needs to be had as well.
Yeah. I'm going to fight you on that, Rodney. COVID-19, the tithe went up. Don't blame the members. Do the math. That's all I'm saying. Do the math. You do it how you want. Do the math. The math tells its own story. So I'll leave it just like that. Do the math.
You said do the math. Do the math.
Yeah. The tide did go up, but it's flattening out for a lot of the conferences. So we live in. We got to remember we live with people who are creatures of habit, and until that's why it's tough to lose weight. That's why it's tough to save. You got to get started. You got to get used to it. You got to keep doing at it in order for it to make an impact. And to do, sometimes you got to be, what's the word? Intentional and sometimes dramatic to make a change. And so, we keep talking about it, but we haven't done anything about it. And so the question is, when are we going to do something?
Well, listen, shout out to
Are we up for getting in
Joseph
trouble
McCoy.
tonight, yo?
Huh?
Are we good to get in trouble tonight? Are we all right with that? Can
No,
we do
we
a Kirk
might have to
Nugent
leave
thing and
pretty
delete
soon, man.
this when this is done?
No, listen, we've been on this thing for a while, so we
Because
may
I
have
can
to.
say some stuff.
I know, we may have to do what do you call the hard close, what we have in our production guide. But hey, listen, a shout out though to the conference presidents who initiated the regional retirement program, Joseph McCoy and that whole crew. You're talking about taking a step and doing something that will impact the workers and so forth. So, listen, it's been done before. It could be done again.
I'm going to do it, gentlemen. Here it is.
Oh,
Y'all ready?
I'm not ready.
You're never ready. All right, you're not ready.
That's so good.
People are ready. So we say that the tithe is to be used for the workers. Like that's a theological basis that we use that governs the use of tithe, right? That the tithe in the old sanctuary system, people brought the tithe and it was only for the use of the priest, or for the Levites rather. And so we've taken the stance denominationally that tithe cannot be used, at least at the local level, for paying the church mortgage or for paying the janitor or for paying the secretary or but it can only be used for the Levites. Now we expand that because we include the teachers. So you got a school, you've got teachers. So our principals, our teachers, partially in some cases paid out of the tithe. and we've made the case that theologically or doctrinally, theologically, that we cannot use the tithe for building projects, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So here's my thought on that. When the tithe is returned to the storehouse or to the Levites, then the Levites, if it's theirs, can't they decide what they do with it? Like, shouldn't I be able to decide what I do with my money? The answer is yes. No matter what you were trying to, yes, the answer is yes. I ought to be able to decide what I do with my money. So if the Levites get together and say, this is all the tithe that has come into the storehouse, we would like to allocate a portion of this to go back to the local church or to go back here, there, or there. Then it's an issue of the Levites saying, this is what God has made a portion to us and for our families, for our care, da, da, da. But we are making the decision because God has given us governance over our funds that we can make a decision to distribute it in this way. If all the Levites come together and vote and say that, then I don't see how that is outside of the biblical plan for the use of tithe. I would be very interested to hear somebody to challenge that or thoughts on that. I'm getting blank stares from my co-hosts on this one. So maybe I went too far, too deep.
Well, I really am not understanding what you're trying to say in terms of when you say the Levites make the decision. Are you saying then each pastor needs to make the decision as to where their tithe go or the tithe go?
I'm saying, so right now, those decisions are generally made by committees that are combined of both lay persons and clergy.
But wait. The decision of where and what to do with the tithe is not at that level. It's a level at the general conference level where a decision was made that this is how we operate. So
and at each conference level, the conference keeps most of the tithe. Very little of the tithe goes up the chain. Most of it stays at the local conference level.
Right.
While it is at local conference level, how that money is distributed at the local conference level, oftentimes there is a conference committee or people who are not Levites have a vote or a say-so in house, at least a portion of that money. I know what I'm talking about. It might be out of policy, which I think is what you're shaking your head about, but it absolutely happens. And so my point is that biblically speaking, if it were all whoever we consider modern Levites sitting around a table making that decision, making those votes, I would not see any problem with them deciding what we do with our funds. So every pastor having a voice in saying, or every worker, everyone considered a modern Levite, having a voice in what is done with those funds, then I think if they have that voice, then fine. It's not outside of the biblical.
Hey. So
he said
in the
none
chat,
should go to the GC.
In the chat, Novell Allen says, I'm in agreement with that, Pastor Paul. None should go to GC. Did you say that, Pastor Paul?
Pastor Paul did not say that at all, Novell Allen.
I'm just looking at the chat.
Listen, if you're just joining this broadcast and seeing this up on the screen, please rewind about 45 seconds and catch my comment in context. I did not say none should go up to the GC. 22.5% goes up to the no. That's a hugely erroneous number, Rodney. From a local conference, it's only about I don't think it's more than 2 or 3% that goes up to the general conference.
No. It's like 63% or something like that stays in the local conference.
I'm talking. He's saying 22 goes up to the general conference.
It's an NAD, so he has a /NAD.
Oh, and NAD. Okay, split
Right,
between the two.
right.
I don't even think it's that high. I think
I don't think it's that high
it's
either.
like
It's like
6 or it's like 9%. Something goes to the union. I think it's like
okay.
9% goes to the union, and it's about 5%. It's small numbers. There's nothing more than 10%, I believe. But I'm not a treasurer, so
Well, it's on my
I
conference. We have it on our website. I'm gonna pull it up right now.
okay.
But there is something funny about the graphic that we have on our website that seems like it's not telling the whole story, but I'm going to pull it up right now and drop it in this on the screen if I can get it to load. Uh-oh. Holy Ghost might be saying, "No, Pastor Paul, don't do it." Because the website isn't loading. I think Florida Conference has a graphic too of how tithe is distributed. Wow, my conference page is not loading right now. This is what happens when we're on too late, guys.
Well, again, I mean, again, it is I think we have a good principle within our church, right? Because it helps everybody. So I'm in agreement definitely with the principle. I'm just saying that there needs to be a tweaking in it so that local churches can, I think, should benefit more than they're benefiting now.
Oh, y'all don't wait on me. Go ahead, y'all keep talking. I'm
Well, listen, man,
I have nothing else to say. Okay. Well, in that case, next week, let's talk about it. What's happening
next week.
weekend?
Yeah, next week we're talking about. We are actually talking about social justice, and we are going to have with us Dr. Jackson Doggett, who is out of Allegheny East, I believe, and he's going to be dealing with that. And then Dr. Hemmings, am I right? Passed away.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And Pastor Hemming, Dr. Hemmings is out of Washington Adventist University. So it's going to be a great show.
And we're actually having that conversation in light of the regional conferences, religious liberty organization that is actually heading to Maryland for their convention at the end of the year.
Mhm.
So end of actually September. So that is what we're doing. So if you jump on that, you see, out of the tithe, 9% is the administrative, which I believe goes up. Is that correct? Or is this the
No.
63% that is
Yeah,
staying?
see, that's the problem I was saying that I
Okay.
think I have with this graphic
Yeah.
is that I don't think this is the entire tithe dollar because nothing here shows what leaves the conference. So I see somebody in the
yeah.
chat who Karen put up from the NAD site, $100 breakdown. She's got 66% showing at the local conference. And that's generally, it's a suggestion to a large extent. And then what is it? 10 defined benefits,
No,
$9 to the union, $9.15 to NAD, and 5.8%
Right.
or goes
That
to
looks-
FCC.
That is correct.
That
That's
looks
better
right.
now.
Yeah, that looks right. And actually, they're giving us we have the breakdown right here. They gave us. There it is. It is. There it is. It's 2020. She has it. We could probably bring that up on the screen. That's right. 66% goes to the local conference. 10% defined benefit retirement. 9% union. 9 to 15 NAD. 5. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, good.
That's it. So
9 is 18 plus 5. What that
say
is?
it again.
9 and 9 is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So almost 23%. So Rodney was right. 23% goes up.
He
Well,
just left
actually,
out
it's
the
34%.
union. Yeah. So it would include to the union as well as NAD and GC.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really 34%, but then you take off that 10% because that's for the defined benefit retirement program, all that kind of stuff. So yes, Rodney's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we need to say that the regional
Aaron
conferences
Black
do
is
not
right.
give.
Yes.
The regional conferences, they give what they need to give to the defined benefit plan, which is up to 2000, year 2000, because they're in a different plan now. But we, that's what the division is making sure that the plan is fully funded.
Yeah.
Right.
But Sean, I think what Wu was saying, that on the graphic that I put up, it takes a whole 100. It makes it look like there's 100% of that tithe dollar is being distributed as it was shown on the screen.
But what they're saying too, I believe what they're saying, Pastor Paul, is that the money that stays in the local conference, this is how we do it.
Right. I understand. And I think
Okay.
I think Wu was saying is that why isn't it transparent that in this graphic that this is referring to the 66 that stays? It some could look at this and say, oh, this is the entire tithe dollar, how it's distributed.
Oh,
And it's
but-
not transparent to say that it is not.
Right. Yeah,
Because there's that 30% that goes somewhere else.
Right, but I see what it said, but when it says Southeastern Conference tithe breakdown, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right. They could say it went up there, but
Yeah, it's
that's
not
actually
clear.
very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
good.
actually very good.
But
Very
it
good.
doesn't, it make, again, I think many people looking at this would suggest that
I got you.
my whole $100 that what is this, $1, my whole dollar that I sent, this is how my entire dollar is
Okay.
broken down.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Because if you add up all these numbers, and they add up to $1.
200. Right, I got you.
They should add
got
up to 66 if
Yeah,
it's
okay.
going to be accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do want to applaud your conference, though, for having some type of breakdown like this, so that people know, where money is going. I mean, this kind of gives you an understanding that every dollar that you send up doesn't come right to pay the pastor, right?
Rodney's
It
on
goes
the
to some other
warpath
things.
tonight, man.
Huh?
Said Rodney's on the warpath tonight. What's up, brother? You were squeezing the local church.
Listen,
to
Rodney,
death.
you're talking my language. What I'm saying is, I think that the churches, they need to get more. I believe so. I mean, I'm just telling you, that's the cry of the churches. That's the cry of the pastor. Listen, but it's everyone wants
true.
more, right?
Listen, I'm going
Pastors
to
want
push
more.
this other thing. I'm going to
Teachers.
push it. No, it's not. It's inaccurate. This is why. In a church like mine, now I granted, not every church is like mine, and that being that I have a K through 8 school as well, where mine is not the only salary that is covered by tithe. So, but in a church like mine, where my salary is covered and benefits covered by tithe, my principal salary benefits covered by tithe. I've got 2 to 3 conference paid teachers covered by tithe. My church does not send up as much tithe as we get back in those 5, I think it's 5 persons. We don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the conference is not squeezing us. The conference is helping us in a situation like mine. Now, other situations may be a little different, but and now people may say, well, that may mean that a church like mine may need some restructuring, and that can very much be true. Can we afford to operate? That's a valid question. But it's before we make statements like that, we have to, again, I'm gonna go back to those words, do the math, and do it with real numbers, not stuff that we're making up and we don't know. Do the math, and I think that out of all that, God blesses us, and that's not a statement to say, oh, don't worry about it, it'll be all fixed up. I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying don't worry about it or anything like that. I'm saying let's be faithful.
Listen, the division, the North American division, they're crying too. Okay,
Yeah.
and they're saying, hey, we're sending too much money out. I mean, so
They ain't crying like we crying.
And a whole lot of that
crying,
money is
everybody's
on
crying.
lawsuits.
Look, but outside of that,
Now you want to start talking. You see, part of, we have to realize two things. One, we are self-insured as a church, and so when I go to the doctor and the doctor says, "Ooh," when they pull up my medical plan and everything, they say, "Ooh, you have good insurance." Matter of fact, one system said, "Oh, you have Cadillac insurance," but the Cadillac insurance is we are paying 100% of that. Some of us are paying into that in premiums. There is a lot happening with all of that money coming in. Though Rodney is saying that they're squeezed, there's no squeezing. I mean, we need to flex. We need to start looking at our health, because every time that we as workers when we are not healthy, and I'm talking to me too, when we are not healthy, it's costing us.
We got 1 minute, y'all.
It's costing us. And so I think we have to take a responsibility. I think we like to put it on the church, but I think as workers, we need to, I'm going to stand up here. I think we need to start taking a responsibility in helping, driving down those costs that are happening, so the funding can go across.
The bottom line is, we got to take a look at the we got to take a look at the funds. We got to see where it's going and make adjustments as we we got to make adjustments as we come closer, man.
Come on, man.
Woo, you on point, boy. You on point. It's not the veganism.
Oh,
It's not the
my
vegans.
goodness.
It's the vegetarians, the overweight vegetarians we have problems with.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Anyways, listen, y'all. Great discussion. I think we need to bring it back up again, get some people on, talk about some solutions, and answer them, as you said, Pastor Paul. I mean, encouraging members, including us, everyone, to give and be faithful. Talk about the tithe. A lot of people have this concept that, wait, is a tithe a New Testament practice, ultimate? We need to have that discussion, man, and bring some people on, give some solutions, and by God's grace, we can grow together as a church. So I think that's where we are.
Next week, ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to have you with us back next week on Friday night. Once again, our topic is going to be social justice and religious liberty. We're kind of blending that conversation. We've got with us Dr. Jackson Doggett.
Dr.
He
Hemmings
is a pastor and a lawyer at the same time. A very interesting perspective to come from Dr. Doggett and Dr. Hemmings, and teaches at Washington Adventist University. So we're looking forward to having them both with us, and looking forward even just as much, if not more, to having you with us and bringing a friend. There are 73 of you that are watching tonight live. We thank each and every one of you for taking the time on a Friday night to hang out with us here at the Pastor's Roundtable, where we're just catching up. Right, I can tell Dion is reading these comments. Y'all got us in, but our time is up, gentlemen. Anything else, fellas, before we make our exit tonight?
Man, if I talk, I'm gonna talk for like 15 minutes, man. So let me just smile. I'm just gonna smile. There you go, Rodney. I'm smiling, man.
Well, listen, we're just excited to connect. I'm looking forward to the conversation next week. It's when you look at the news in the community, nationally, some of the stuff that's happening out there, we tend to be navel gazing or nose blind to it in the church. But I'm so glad that we have organizations like the Public Affairs and Religious Liberty Ministry that keeps us informed and understanding what's happening in our communities. And so next week is going to be a good conversation. So we invite you to join us next Friday night. Do we have a time, gentlemen?
9 o'clock.
We're 9 p.m. Eastern. 9 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, by the way, y'all, listen, Sean, people are questioning why they are Seventh-day Adventists. We're going to have to do some talk. We're going to have to talk. We're going to have to.
You got it.
We're going to have to have a
ready
real
to turn
talk
in
here,
tonight, and you got him. We're gonna do it though. We got to have that. Now we have had on PRT. We have had the general conference treasurer, the treasurer of the general. He's been here. We've tackled this topic with him, but I mean, there's still stuff. Still stuff. I've seen some stuff floating around in many different places about, and we haven't really done this kind of stuff, but there's a jewelry conversation floating around again. There's this issue on Tide that's floating around still. There's it's going to take some time on this stuff.
But listen, there's nothing wrong with having a conversation. That's what I want to say.
Not at all.
There's nothing wrong with having a conversation. So it helps us to grow. And I appreciate that about our church. It allows us to have these conversations so that we can be better citizens of here and the here to come.
I love it.
So listen, thank you for joining us tonight. We thank God for how you have joined us and partnered with Pastors Roundtable to help make ministry relevant,
resourced,
and real. God bless.
Good night, everybody. Oh, and it can't locate the file. See? All right. No outro tonight. That's it. Oh, wait. Let's do it.